Hi, this is Mashnu, and I have here a game that I played yesterday evening at the chess club, and it's a very interesting game, especially the last part of it, the middle game and the end game. Um, but let's have a look because there is a lot to see here. I played the French defense, and he continued with g3, so my opponent didn't want to get into the standard French variations. So from this moment on, I had to completely think uh, on myself without any theoretical knowledge, because I don't know this variation of g3 and bishop d2. He played d3 here. I played knight to c6, c3, knight to f6. So I simply was trying to use the opening principles of occupying the center and develop my pieces, and then see what happens. He took on d5. I took back with the pawn, and then queen to e2 check. Now I didn't want to play queen to e7 and trade queens, because then it all becomes so equal. The pawn structure is exactly symmetrical, and black is a bit better because I have more space in the center, but it's not that such a big difference, I think. So I played bishop to e7 with the idea of castling, and then later put a rook on e8. So knight to f3, castle kingside, and then rook to e8. And here my opponent played bishop to g5, and I played h6. And it's not easy to find a good square for this bishop, I think. Um, of course, the bishop doesn't want to go to d2, because that would be a square that is helpful for white to develop his knight, maybe knight to from b1 to d2, and maybe f4 would be an option, bishop f4. But anyway, my opponent decided to trade this bishop on f6. I took back, so I had the bishop spare, and that means that if we arrive at a certain point at an endgame, these two bishops can become strong if I manage to open more diagonals. He played queen to c2, and I played immediately bishop to f5, pinning this pawn on d3 and threatening to play c4 and then taking on d3. So my opponent moved the queen again, now to d2. I played queen to d7. He continued with knight to a3, and here actually I missed the possibility of really gaining advantage. And I have been looking this morning at this position quite a lot, together with the help of the computer, and it tells me that d4 is a very strong move here. And I did consider d4 during the game, but I thought that I would give away the square c4 for his knight, and I would open this diagonal for his bishop. So that's why I didn't like this d4 idea. But the fact is that the idea of d4 is putting later more pressure on this pawn on d3. So for example, if white advances this pawn, then immediately knight to b4 can play, and this weak pawn on d3 is under attack. If after d4 white takes on d4, then simply knight takes d4, and again we see that the d3 pawn is still weak, will stay weak, also because this d file now is half open, and my bishops get more space. So this is I find an instructive position, that here d4 is strategically a good idea. But I didn't see it. I didn't decide to play this move during the game. I played rook to e7. The game continued with rook a to e1, rook to e8, and my opponent started trading pieces. Rook takes e7, rook takes e7, rook e1 to trade another rook. I made a mistake here. I played queen to e8, and it came with knight to b5, threatening to enter here on d6, so I had to go back with my queen to d7. And here he played the knight back to a3, so it looks like my opponent wants to repeat moves and agree a draw. But I didn't want that, because I wanted to win this game. So I played knight to e5. He took on e5, I took with the rook, then he traded rook as well, and we are coming closer to an endgame of two bishops against the bishop and the knight. And now here he played queen to e3, and it's a very difficult position for black suddenly, because he's attacking the c5 pawn, he's attacking the bishop on e5, and if I play bishop to d6, then the d5 pawn will be under attack by the bishop on g2. So I thought for a long time, and I played here queen to d6, and he continued with knight to b5, attacking my queen. And here I went with my queen to e6. Actually, I should have gone immediately to e6 with the queen. This idea of first going to d6 was actually not a good one. Now, the queen on e6 is very well placed, because here if white takes on c5, queen takes c5, then there is bishop to d4 winning immediately. Because if the queen takes here, then there is a queen check, and then we have a mating pattern here on f1. So that means that queen cannot take on c5. The same happens if white plays f4, then also bishop to d4 is winning, because the queen is pinned and it's all over. So after queen to e6 I had some hope that he would make a mistake, maybe take on c5, but he didn't. He played knight takes a7, and now here I played d4. After c takes d4, bishop takes d4, so I'm opening diagonals for my bishops, and white trades queens here, and there is not a very good alternative to the trade of queens, because if the queen goes somewhere else, I can take on a2, attacking the knight here and attacking the pawn on b2. So that's the difficulty for white. So he decided to take on e6, and now I took with the pawn, and we see here that I'm attacking both pawns with my bishops, and he's attacking my b7 pawn. So there is a lot of weak pawns in this position, and he played here b3 to save his b pawn. I took on d3, and now he took on b7, and this is a very interesting position, because I thought here that I had found a winning line by playing c4, and when I played this, my opponent thought for a long time, and he after the game we talked about this position, and we both thought that this was a winning move, c4. The variation that we both had calculated was knight to c6, now not taking on b3 but playing c3, and if knight takes d4, to play e5. So the knight must go away, and then the c pawn can advance and queen. What we both had missed is a variation that I found this morning using the computer engine. It's a very beautiful one, and well, let's say for our level of play, it's too difficult to find. The variation is bishop to d5 check, queen to h7, and now knight to c2. That's an excellent move, because after bishop takes c2, my own bishop is blocking my pawn, so the king can come closer. And if I give a check here, the king goes to e1, and after this, my pawn from c3 cannot advance to c2, because then king goes to d2, controlling the dark squares. So that means that white here has all the time of the world to advance his own a and b pawn, without being afraid of this passed pawn on c3. So this was actually a variation that we both missed. We thought that after e5 here, black would win, and that's the reason why after c4 my opponent decided to take on c4 and sacrifice this knight on a7. But after this, the endgame is really hopeless for white. So I won this quite easily, trading the last bishop and then using my king to support the pass pawn. So here he resigned because this pawn is simply going to advance, and it's all over. So alright, that was the game, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and leave your comments on YouTube. Goodbye.